Happy New Year, everybody! Even though it's New Year's Eve, I guess I should be saying Happy New Year tomorrow, right? Angie Gibson has got all the party hats for us. Pass them around. Pass them around. Mary said, I've got my tissues ready. Sending good karma. Good morning. Happy New Year's to you, Tiffany. Annoying question. I have to get it out of the way. Because we're asked every year. Any resolutions? Or are you just going to plan to be the same asshole you were this year? It's still this year, right? You going to keep the same bad habits from 2022? Or are we going to renew in 23? I'm on the fence about it. That's what I'm talking about, Bob. It's National Champagne Day. You got that right. Hello, kitty cat mom. Let's see who else is in here. Comery said, let's get the party started. Let's do it. I need a party after yesterday. I need a party after this year. I think we all do. Man, 2022 gave us a run for our money. The criminals were busy. It was one thing after another. It wasn't like there was a lull and we were just following certain cases. It seems like since August, the heat did something to them because it was just boom, 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 one thing after another. I was afraid every time I heard a notification on my phone, I was afraid to check it. It was a crazy year. The criminals were up to no good all year. Happy New Year's, Bonnie. Happy New Year's. Thank you so much. Alice, you are too kind. Thank you so much for the super sticker and supporting the channel. You have no idea how much that means. Thank you. Thank you. So how close are you to midnight where you're at? I know our Australian friends are already celebrating. I already have gotten a couple of video clips from some fireworks I'm going to share. And this was a tough show to put together without keeping you guys for a week. Because a lot went on. Kat said 8 hours. Tanya can officially say Happy New Year. It's 6 a.m. where Newport is. It's 2 a.m. here. Not 2 a.m. Sorry. It's 8 a.m. here. I was reading something else. It's 8 a.m. 8:04. 8:05 now to be exact. I will have to DVR the ball dropping because I guarantee I'll be asleep. So let's get to some fireworks and go through this insane year. Because this year was insane. And I'm telling you, after yesterday, I thought about taking a damn year off. I love this comment by Bonnie. Hey, let's start drinking. It's 2023 somewhere. It's gotta be. And Mary, you're right. I couldn't live a year without my friends. That is for sure. Days like yesterday tested my patience for sure. People were hating on my ass bad in that first show. Oh my God. Some of the comments, I was like, come on, guys. we all know an arrest has been made. An arrest has been made, and that is good news. Good news for me too, because Tiffany just left me a super sticker. Thank you, Tiffany. Thank you very much. So going through what we talked about, what we covered on the channel for the last year, which is hard to remember it all because we were stocked full. What case frustrated you the most? What case did you find the most heartwarming? Which one shocked the hell out of you? Which one did you think was the most insane? It's hard to categorize. Who do you think needs more exposure? What just made you break down and cry? What was the most bizarre? Who's the worst mother? We have a lot of categories. What law enforcement just knocked it out of the park? It's hard to bring them, it's hard to put them together. OT, Delphi. We're going to be talking about Delphi. I got you. I got your Delphi right here. Jeannie, Moscow. I got your Moscow. You got to be patient, though. I had enough Moscow yesterday for 10 years. I had enough for 10 years, so that's going to be towards the end of the show. C-Star Leilani, I got your Leilani. Don't you worry. Debbie Collier, damn sure, was very bizarre, but not the most bizarre. I got the most bizarre. Hang tight, Bob. I think you're going to agree with me when I refresh your memory on another one. That's the thing. It's really sad when we have so much true crime that we go, ooh, now that you mention it, that one was crazier. That one was crazier. So let's start with what, going through your comments, our conversations, what was picked as the most frustrating case of 2022. It's also the most heavily covered case of 2022 and 2021. And it continues on. I think you already know what I'm talking about.
Well, today, for the first time, we're learning the lead investigator in the Summer Wells case is speaking out. The pressure has been immense on the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office to figure out what happened to a little girl who reported missing back in June.
Ansley Daniel has been following this case closely. She has an update. Ansley?
Josh and Sarah, there was frustration, some anger, and the presence of a heavy burden when I sat down with the detective John Pruitt with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office. He's led this investigation into Summer's disappearance. He told me that as difficult as this case is to work, he is nowhere near giving up.
It is a lot to shoulders, a lot to burden. We have a missing child that we haven't found yet.
Almost 10 months and so much heartache.
Already I'm interrupting. I hope you packed a lunch because we're going to be here all day just off of this clip. At least he admitted that there's a child missing. I'll give him props for that. And he said, it's a lot to burden. You know, we're Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts here. Let's help him out. Get the FBI involved. Fully involve the TBI. We saw what Leslie at TBI said to Trevor the other day. Due to the 3rd Judicial District Attorney General, we are only allowed to assist. They have not given us permission to be their right-hand man, per se.
And investigators aren't immune from that hurt. The question of what happened to Summer Wells still has no answer.
There haven't been very many cases like this. I have never worked a missing child case with all these different entities and agencies involved.
The lead investigator on the case says his days are devoted to finding her.
My day, I check tip line and voicemail when I first get here.
And I don't mean to break anybody's heart, but that's the extent of his investigative work. You guys know I love our law enforcement. I back the blue. I do. But when we're sitting in 18 months with zero update and no break in a case, and the only time the lead investigator talks to the public, updates the public, they say, well, I devote my whole day looking for Summer. You see, I check the tip line and I check my voicemail. Well, what do you do with the other 8 hours and 30 minutes of your day, assuming you eat fast at lunchtime? What do you do with the rest of it? Because I'm going to bet it doesn't take you too long to check the voicemail and the tip line. But they're taking applications.
I do phone calls and follow-ups on any credible leads I've got. I follow up on anything that I didn't get to a good conclusion the day before. Then I go into my normal caseload of any new cases I've got, follow-ups on them.
They've received nearly 2,000 tips.
I will follow up.
So anything I didn't get an answer on the day before, I call them back. And I go through credible tips. What's a credible tip? Because I think you don't know. They always say it could be the smallest thing. Sounds to me we have a lot of, hi, Detective Pruitt. This is beep. Doesn't sound credible to me. Hi, Detective Pruitt. I called last week about Summer Wells. Beep. Doesn't sound credible to me. So then we go out and we got all day to rough up the meth heads. That's what we got. We have time to do. She'll turn up. That's what he thinks.
On everything I can to try to bring closure for this.
Self-proclaimed online investigators and social media folks have turned this case into a mess of ideas. And tips have come in from everywhere across the U.S. and even overseas. That help, Pruitt says, has led to little more than time wasted.
If these people want to help so much, we always accept applications to certified individuals.
He says the investigation has led to the continued.
I don't know why. It makes me so damn mad when I hear him say, we're accepting applications from certified individuals like your certified tips. He only takes certified tips, credible tips.
Little more than time wasted.
If these people want to help so much, we always accept applications to certified individuals.
He says the investigation has led to the continued thought that if Summer is found, it will be nearby.
I believe that she would probably be somewhere close by, because we found nothing to lead us to believe that she's been abducted or trafficked out of the area.
Pruitt works alongside the TBI and FBI. Along with the ground search, Pruitt says investigators have poured through data. Almost a year into the case, and Detective Pruitt says it still remains a very active investigation.
I'm not going to let it go cold.
Well, we had his word. He's not going to let it go cold. He said there's absolutely no evidence that she was abducted. And I do believe that. Not because I want to believe that, but because the FBI card unit said, there's no abduction. There's none. We have no evidence of an abduction. He said there's no evidence she's been trafficked out of this area. None. And traffic doesn't necessarily mean sold. People say, oh, she was sold. Candace sold her. Traffic can just mean moved. We have no reason to believe. So what's the problem? These are his words, not ours. So that case is so frustrating. So frustrating. And my soapbox on that one is tall. It is tall. Now, we did have a couple of cases this year that had happy endings. They did. Around Mother's Day, we met a fabulous woman named Kylie. She was reaching out to social media to get help to find her grandson, Nikki. Now, she basically has no rights to Nikki because her daughter had not lost parental rights yet. Well, Tallie's crazy sister and her daughter, it was on Easter Sunday, kidnapped him from her home. She had gone out to get groceries. His other grandmother was there. And almost freaking ninja style, they broke in and they grabbed him. Through the help of social media because law enforcement, their hands were tied because technically Tally has no rights to him. Well, she does now. She does now. And Mother's Day weekend, we had Tally on the show. And like I said, through the help of social media, he was found in Florida. She flew out. She grabbed her grandson and never looked back. And let me tell you, I've never seen the family court work so hard after all that because they found the paperwork real fast, and made sure that all the rights belong to Tally. Also this year, Michelle Reynolds, she had, I don't want to get into too much of her personal information, but she had a doctor's appointment that morning, and then she told her husband and her kids that she was going to go get something to eat and go to the bank. Now, they live outside of Houston, and her car turned up in New Orleans. Her husband was nice enough to come on the show and give us some insight into what was really going on, again, through the help of social media. Flyers all around the Big Easy. Michelle was found. She didn't look anything like her flyers, that's for sure. She had cut her hair, had on a totally different style of clothes. People started calling the New Orleans Police Department saying, I think that's that woman you guys have had on the news. I think that's her. That's her brother right there. He drove down from Shreveport. Her husband drove over from Houston, brought her back home. They're not going to do any follow-ups on this, and I do not blame them, just like Tally. We had our happy ending. Leave it there. She's doing great, getting the help that she needs. And the last time I talked to her husband, he said, I can read you the text verbatim. He said, let everybody know that she is getting help and she is surrounded by those that love her the most. And again, through your compassion, your advocacy, sharing, people recognized her. Even with the new haircut, even with the clothes that don't resemble anything in her wardrobe, she was found. And I thought that was magnificent. Because somebody who's struggling, I'm saying it lightly, in the Big Easy, where anything can go wrong in NOLA. And for her to be found was amazing. Amazing. Now, of course, 2022 kept us busy, and it's not going to go out without some sadness and without a bang. I woke up to the queen of all working women, and I don't mean Dolly Parton, but Barbara Walters passed away overnight. 93 years old. This woman has interviewed everybody that you can imagine. If a name comes to mind, she has interviewed them, got them on camera for the world to see, or was friends with them or met them. Here's a little clip to show our respect to the one and only.
News, legendary journalist Barbara Walters has died. She led the way as one of the first female TV journalists, co-anchoring the Today Show in 1961 and moving to become the first woman to anchor an evening newscast in 1976. Barbara Walters was 93 years old.
Talk about sad. I mean, you talk about someone who busted through the glass ceiling. That's her. She's right there. Country Christie said, sorry, my deepest apologies to Little. You don't need to apologize for anything, Country Christie. You're a very nice person. You didn't mean any harm to anybody. Don't worry about that. We're very easygoing here. So I saw a few of you said, the cases that shocked you. A couple people said Delphi. I saw something about Monkey. It's funny about the case of little Michael Vaughan, little Monkey, and the case of Delphi. because they both seem like they were at a total standstill, and both have suspects that, like, lived right there. Lived right there. I'm going to start with Monkey because Monkey, I think, was... What was more shocking to you guys? Michael Vaughan or Delphi? Because I'm going to have to say, Delphi was shocking because it's a guy that lived right there and because it had been such a long-going investigation. Then you have Monkey, and then you see that, well, this family had been... These people were trying to destroy this family. And it was what the chief said and what they said the whole time. He had been abducted. He still has not been found. His case is not solved. It's ongoing. Let's start with Little Monkey.
Well, Fruitland boy Michael Vaughan disappeared from his neighborhood more than a year ago. And today, there are still so many questions surrounding what happened. Yesterday, in a news conference, Fruitland police revealed the identities of 2 more people who they believe have firsthand knowledge in Michael's abduction. And one of those people talked with a YouTube blogger just last week. Here's a look at some of that interview. Videos circulating on social media are shedding light on 3 of the 4 people Fruitland police named in connection with Michael Vaughan's disappearance.
It's actually really hard sometimes to be that vulnerable with people.
But who are these people? Just last week, YouTube blogger Jonathan Lee Riches talked with Brandon Sherliff about the then 5-year-old's disappearance. This interview came 5 days before police named Sherliff and Adrian Lucien as 2 people believed to have firsthand knowledge in Michael's abduction.
You ever hear Sarah or Stacy talk about the bonds or mention the bonds or say anything?
Never once. Not even. The only time I heard them ever mention the Vaughns is when they stopped the car that day and they said, "Hey, there's somebody that's missing in the neighborhood. His name's Michael Vaughan."
This tool bag, well, it sounds like they did mention Monkey. And it sounds like you were with them the day he disappeared. I have a feeling like Delphi, because they're nowhere near done with Delphi. I don't believe that for a minute. I think this case with Monkey is going to get really deep. I really do.
Do you guys know him or know where he went? That was the first time that came up to my attention. And then as far as I know, they both said, no, we don't know where he's at. Let's go help look for him.
Sherliff says he was with Sarah Wandra and Adrian the day Michael disappeared.
I was with Sarah that whole day and Adrian. And then Stacy was left home alone.
Last month, police arrested Sarah Wandra for failing to report a death. She lived in the house on Red Wing Street with her husband, Stacy Wandra. The same house police excavated and searched for Michael. Stacy Wandra is currently being held in the Washington County Jail for unrelated charges.
Although the remains of Michael Vaughan were not recovered, we strongly believe, based on evidence, that Michael was abducted and is deceased, and that his remains were buried and later moved from the property.
I need to clip that where he says that, because I still have people that argue with me over them excavating the backyard. I knew they weren't going to find him there. I knew it was a waste of time. It's never a waste of time, particularly if they have evidence leading them to a particular spot. So when he says, we have evidence that says he was abducted, poor little baby is deceased, and we know his remains were at one time in that backyard. When I heard that, I literally, when we were doing the press conference, guys, I almost threw up. I almost threw up.
During Thursday's news conference, Fruitland police said both Sherliff and Lucien were staying with the Wandras at the time of Michael's disappearance. Police say Lucien is believed to be floating between Ohio and California. While drinking beer and sitting in a hot tub in North Dakota, Shurleff also revealed the Wandras were religious or hid behind religion.
Hey, I thank God for you. I hope you say a prayer for me.
Like the whole time I was there, they just say, "Oh, we believe in God, and God tells me what we should do for the day and how to help people, and we believe in doing good to the community." So I don't know why they would go from that to getting caught with guns and then trying to run off with the story that definitely didn't happen in front of my eyes.
This genius. I don't know why they go from, talking about God and Jesus and they get caught with guns. And it definitely didn't happen in front of my eyes. Listen to him drinking his Coors Golden Banquet beer in the hot tub. It definitely didn't happen in front of my eyes. Exactly, Beckby. Who says that? It definitely didn't happen in front of my eyes. Sounds like it did. I have a feeling you're going to be arrested pretty soon. Have a feeling you're going to be arrested pretty damn soon.
He also revealed he was not in Idaho at the time of the interview, but his family has a home here.
The police and the detectives and everything, they've been at my mom's house since I've been gone. They're beside themselves and just scared and freaking out.
As questions continue to surround this home where all 4 people stayed at one point, still no definitive answer as to what happened to Michael. And we reached out to Fruitland Police and asked if they have seen these videos, and police tell us they have indeed watched all of them.
They have indeed watched all of them. Phew, good Lord. Well, of course, we're going to be following the case of Monkey Vaughan into 2023. I don't think it's going to get solved this afternoon. I hope it does. Wouldn't it be great to go into tomorrow and say, wow, New Year's Eve, Monkey's been solved, Summer's been solved. Wouldn't that be great? That would be wonderful. Madalena's been found and, they know what happened to her. Whew. Goodness. Kat says, I should hope they have sequestered the videos into evidence. I'm gonna say no, Kat. They're still on YouTube. Good morning, JPL. Happy New Year, JPL. The video I put up last night where the girl's talking about Brian and how she knew him back in the day, that came off of TikTok. I don't know if she took it down or if TikTok took it down. Before I take mine down, I'm going to have to find out real quick. Because I know several of you have reached out to me about that. I'm not making a knee-jerk reaction until I find out what's going on, because that was some crazy information she had there. So just like Monkey, of course, these are 2 totally different cases, but Delphi, we're talking about cases that just made our jaw drop. Because with Delphi, it's a guy that worked at the local CVS, lived right there in town. Pictures of him with Abby and Libby, their flyers behind him. Not just their flyers, but his composite sketch on them. Like we saw Sarah Wandra, she took a selfie, and over her right arm is a flyer for Monkey. Gabby Petito, we covered that in 2021. We're doing 2022. So we get to Delphi, and this case has always been so sinister and just creepy to me. Just super creepy. Super creepy. And when I think about Doug Carter talking to Kegan, hey, Gonzo, Happy New Year. Much respect to you, my friend. When I go back through that transcript, Doug Carter talking to Kegan, and he says, your Dropbox opened one of the biggest CP rings in Indiana history. Again, I almost threw up.
Indiana say the suspect in the murder of 2 young teens has been moved to a state prison for his own protection due to threats. It's been almost 6 years since the killings, and now the mother of Libby German is finally speaking in this exclusive interview with Amber Cagliano, and she says she is still shocked by the arrest.
The mother of a teen who was slain in the Down the Hill murder case is speaking out about the surprise arrest in the killings.
I was in shock. I think I'm still in shock, really. It came out of nowhere.
Carrie Timmons is speaking exclusively to Inside Edition after a CVS worker was charged with murdering her daughter, Libby German, and Libby's best friend, Abby Williams. Carrie voiced the question on the minds of many in the small town of Delphi, Indiana, and beyond.
If this turns out that he is the killer, how did he manage to go unnoticed for almost 6 years? There's a lot of questions still left unanswered, more questions now than there were before.
Carrie says she always suspected the killer had links to Delphi.
You had to know the area to have gotten in and out. It just seems logical that they had some kind of local ties, at the very least. So I didn't expect him to literally be living right under everyone's noses.
I asked her about the photo of the accused killer, Richard Allen, taken in a Delphi bar with a police sketch of the wanted man right behind him.
Look at that. He's got his own composite right behind him. Right behind him. Let me see if I can find the picture of Sarah. I've got it in here somewhere. Where she's posing with has a selfie going on. And there's Monkey's picture right behind her. Hang on one second. Sarah. There it is. I've got so many pictures. All right, so look at that on the screen. Behind him, okay, over his right shoulder, it must be right shoulder day here. That's his composite sketch. There's Sarah. Over her right shoulder, there's Monkey. There's Monkey's flyer. She's in jail for failure to report a death, meaning Monkey. Richard's in jail for murdering Abby and Libby. Goodness.
Kind of callous, maybe?
Yeah. Pretty brave. Bold. Like it didn't matter. It just seems crazy that he was right there. Living life every day.
Richard Allen has been transferred out of the county jail to a state prison for his own safety.
Are you hopeful that this time they have the killer?
Absolutely hopeful. I've always said the girls deserve justice, and I hope that's where we're headed. The justice is coming.
Libby was 14 when she was slain. She would now be about to turn 20.
Regardless of the arrest, it doesn't bring her back. I'm still going to be living life wondering what she would be doing at this point or that point.
Richard Allen has pled not guilty. He's due in court for a pretrial hearing January 13th.
I put it on the community tab. Kelsey German posted on Twitter that Libby would have turned 20 years old on Thursday. That is so sad. That is so sad. She'd be in college. Y'all's daughter said for his own safety, shaking my head. Yeah, his own safety. Happy New Year, Chris Melcher. His own safety. And then I look at his wife, Kathy. They had to shut down the veterinarian's office she used to work for. She was a long-term employee and got laid off, if you know what I mean. Not because she did a bad job, because the doctor, the people bringing their animals there, you couldn't even take an appointment. People were calling to talk to her to find out if she knew Richard was doing this. I still do not believe Kathy Allen, and if it turns out I'm wrong, I'm wrong. No sweat off my, you know what? I just don't believe, I think this woman was in total denial as to what he did that day. I think whatever group he was in, I think he kept it that quiet. Kind of like BTK. Now, BTK's wife left him with a quickness. Kathy's hanging on. Kathy believes he's innocent. A lot of people think he's innocent. When the probable cause came out, and we all know, I mean, even if you got a C average in 8th grade civics, you know that the probable cause is just a threshold to get the arrest. It's not everything. So we read the probable cause and we're like, well, what the hell did you keep this sealed for? They said, well, because there could be other people involved. Well, the probable cause says nothing about other people involved. Nothing. It says nothing about other people involved. But a lot of people that read the probable cause said with that, there's no way she couldn't have known. I don't think so. I don't think so. These people hide in plain sight. They have relationships. They have girlfriends. They have wives. They have coworkers. So was everybody at CVS in on it too? He was around his coworkers more than Kathy. He was printing flyers for the families. It was just known at the CVS. If anybody comes in for flyers, CVS does not charge them. How many packets of flyers did that man hand to customers? As he walked in the door every day, a flyer was posted. He posted his own flyer at the CVS as one of his closing duties. If that doesn't make you shit a brick, think about it. Happy New Year, replay. Happy New Year, Shannon. Just me's going to take a break. She's going to go eat some breakfast. She's going to go eat some breakfast. And it goes without saying, the families of the victims, they get the true life sentence. They do. As people move along, us included, and everything calms down, and then another case comes along and we're talking about the next case, it's really kind of rinse repeat. We hear the same thing. People calling in tips that aren't tips, psychics that are getting, their visions are getting called into the tip line, people getting sued, people getting accused that have nothing to do with it. But the families, they always have that empty room. And that's extremely, extremely sad. Happy New Year, Fun to Ski. Fun to Ski said, these men are so very good at keeping things that they do compartmental from others. That's true. That's true. And I've wondered about this, OT. She lived with him for 30 years. How did she not notice any changes in his demeanor? I think she had to have noticed a change in his demeanor. That was one thing, FBI behavioral science. I think they wrote the new direction script for Doug Carter when he addressed everybody in 2019 and said, surely someone around you has noticed you've changed. I wouldn't be surprised when the FBI spoke to her when she sat in the damn driveway for 10 hours waiting for them to search the house, if she didn't say, well, yeah, he's been acting a little weird since that day on the bridge. I wouldn't be surprised. She could have just flat out chose to ignore it. Tarnia for the win. The tarot cards getting sued for lying. Those tarot cards, they're going to have a very bad 2023 now, aren't they? Particularly with an arrest in Pennsylvania yesterday. You bet. What an idiot. What an idiot. There's ways to discuss these crimes like, well, what do you think? Or, it could be this. Or, that guy seems a little suspicious to me. You can have a conversation without coming out saying, they did it. They did it. They did it. Even that's not going to get you in trouble. But if you just keep on and keep on and keep on, and someone says, stop, you need to quit saying that I'm the murderer, and then you continue to do it, big trouble. She's in big trouble. Rowena, thank you for the super sticker. Rowena said, bubbly on me. You better believe it. Might get into some champagne and do another live tonight. You never know. So before we get to a couple of insane cases, not that they're not all insane, but as we get into 2023, a couple of cases, and I'm only talking about things that we've covered on the channel because it's a big internet and it's a big world, and no way I can get to all of them. No way. 2 cases that we're going to be talking about still in 2023. One of them we just started talking about, but these are cases that need more exposure. These families need help. I did not score any points with several people as we were talking about and still continuing to cover the case in Idaho, the Idaho 4. When I said I can't tell you how many families that would do anything for just a small percentage of this exposure and this money. I'm sorry to people get mad when I bring up money. We look at the case of Alana Redfield. She was found in her family's garage, gunshot wound to the head, the left side, but she's right-handed. No bullet hole anywhere in the garage. Her dog was outside, which is something she would never do. She would never leave her dog outside. The gun was 8 feet away from her. She was laying flat on her back. When someone shoots themselves in the head, they fall forward. She was laying flat on her back. She has bruising across her abdomen. A guy named Cody thought of her, she thought of him as a friend, and he thought of her way more than a friend. He hacked into her social media and even taunted on social media that he thinks it would be funny to murder someone and make it look like a S. So you guys were very kind when her parents were on. People put in $5, $10. It was wonderful. And so they have money to continue on with this attorney that's helping them. Meanwhile, we have other cases where people are sitting on 20 grand to pay an attorney that they never needed because the case was moving forward. I don't have to say anymore. We have another case we're going to still be talking about in 2023. That's the case of Michaela Jones. Michaela Jones was murdered, just like Alana. Michaela Jones, we've been talking about since the summer of 2021. We're still talking about Michaela. She went to a party, never came home. They had a search. They finally found her. Her phone had been smashed and torched. She was told that Stacey Jones was told that Michaela had OD'd. Stacey was not buying it. Stacey took out a loan from her 401k. Yep, I'm back to the money. She took out a loan from her 401k. She had a GoFundMe. I don't think it got more than $1,200. She had a second autopsy done that showed the back of Michaela's head was crushed, her skull. She was murdered. The 2 guys that moved her body are in jail now for tampering with a corpse. They're each going to serve 8 years. But Stacey Jones is like, what about the murder charges? One or both of them murdered my child. So we're going to keep on keeping on with those 2 cases for sure. These families don't have the Today Show. They don't have Brian Enton. They don't have Fox News. They don't have the experts weighing in. They don't have people putting thousands of dollars in their GoFundMes. These are families just like you and me that are doing everything they can to get justice for their families. And we're going to continue to help them. What says you? What says you? Stillwater's Happy New Year. Stillwater said, my goodness. Yep. Kitty Cat Mom said, never heard of her, to your point. Yep. Yep. So I think that's another reason, knowing these families on the level that I know them on, especially Stacey Jones, when 2 weeks into the Idaho 4 murder massacre in Moscow, when YouTubers were standing outside of a house that was still being processed and they said, this case is going to go cold, I was like, what? Or when the experts were weighing in, is the case going cold? And I'm like, what? The 2 cases I'm talking about right now, these cases aren't just cold, the cases are closed. You've got 2 murdered people, 2 murdered young women. These aren't cold cases. These are families that are scraping whatever they can get together to fight the system, to reopen the cases and say, look, prove me wrong that my child was not murdered. You tell me how my child became left-handed all of a sudden. You tell me how my child beat herself in the back of the head and crushed her skull. Didn't happen. So when cases like Idaho 4, that's on the Today Show every morning, CBS News every morning, Good Morning America every morning, Fox, CNN, News Nation, YouTubers all outside the house going, we're not going to let this case go cold. And I'm like, go cold? It's sizzling hot. You kidding me? They weren't about to let this go. The FBI's been outside of Brian's house for the last week getting his DNA. Crazy. Speaking of another crazy case that was sizzling hot and people said, we're not going to let this go cold, the case of Kylie Rodni. The case of Kylie Rodni. We covered this case a lot on this channel. I still do not believe that this girl had an accident. I just don't. If the autopsy had come back and said her lungs were full of water, that would have been one thing. The autopsy said there was no water in her lungs. It said both of her lungs were unremarkable. I think one lung was 81 grams and one was 80 grams. How can that girl have gone into that water and drowned with no water in vital organs? How? I've asked for other autopsies from that area of drowning victims in the Tahoe region. I have 2 to compare it to. I hope you all are sitting down, where it was ruled a drowning accident. Their bodies were full of water. Full of water. Now, from my understanding, and there's a lot of crazies connected with this case, her mother included. From my understanding, it is still an ongoing investigation. Now, according to Nevada County, they're the ones that signed off on this. But supposedly California Highway Patrol is still investigating it. I really hope they are. I really hope they are. Then I ask myself, why would you not just investigate it? Who knows who in that little town that they wouldn't just say it like it is, what really happened? Is it the tourism? Is it all the money that was coming in to investigate the case? I don't know. I can't even begin to guess. But let's take a trip down memory lane for the Kylie Rodni case.
Today, a specialty search and recovery dive team is deploying in the search of missing Truckee teenager Kylie Rodni. She's been missing since August 6th.
The Placer County Sheriff's Office has spearheaded the case since the beginning, and Placer County is where KCRA3's Aaron Heff is joining us now live with the latest. Aaron, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, guys. Tomorrow marks 2 weeks since Kylie went missing, and authorities say they've received thousands of tips, but many of those tips are duplicates, and they're actually slowing down the search process. Now, like you said, Kylie was last seen on August 6th at a party with hundreds of similar-age teens at the Prosser Family Campground in Truckee. According to authorities, the last known ping from Kylie's cell phone was the same night at 12:30 a.m. Her car, 2013 Honda CRV, also missing, which is one reason the case is being treated as a possible abduction case. The 16-year-old has been added to the FBI's missing person database, and thousands of tips have been sent in, though Placer County Sheriff's Office says many of those tips are duplicates and are actually slowing down their search efforts. Now, today, a specialty search and recovery dive team who call themselves Adventures with a Purpose will arrive in Truckee to add to their search efforts. Now, this specialty team actually specializes in cold cases, and they've actually helped solve 23 cold cases in the last 3 years. Now, according to Placer County Sheriff's Office, they've received 1,550 tips, and they're vetting those tips as of right now. In Placer County, Aaron Heft, KCRA 3 News.
And she was like 55 feet from the shore. 55 feet from the shore. If you guys go back over on the channel, it's listed under lives. Happy New Year, Sassy Patriot. If you look at a video I posted, I think it was on Thursday I posted it, about Trinity Backus. She's from Nevada County, California. This is another one of, it's like the monkeys, where you see the memes of the monkeys and they're covering their eyes and they've got their fingers in their ears. See no, hear no evil, see no evil. Trinity, and I'm going to do a show about this. I got, you should see some of those comments, people they think I'm way off on this. Happy New Year, Bama Cat. Happy New Year, Smitten Kitten. Where she was at her aunt's house. According to her aunt, what her aunt told the New York Post, this was in November, she done some acid, she said. She freaked out and bolted out into the cold. She was in her pajamas, no shoes. This sounds like a description Candace Wells would give. Done acid and ran out barefoot. Brutally cold that night. They found her near a drainage ditch a half a mile from the aunt's home. My question when I put the video up on Thursday, I said, you're telling me nobody's going to be held accountable? She's 16 years old. You don't let 16-year-olds done acid in your house. And if they happen to get into some, you don't let them run out and then she didn't call 911 till Thursday. She gave this interview to the New York Post. A lady who commented said, oh, come on, she was asleep, talking about the aunt. Well, then how did the aunt know she done acid and ran outside? How did the aunt know? That case isn't going anywhere. We have time, and so we will be talking about it sometime next week or the week after. But I'm like, you're telling me that the DA in Nevada County did not put any charges against that aunt? Then you have the Kylie Rodni situation where you have a party of underage children. Yeah, underage children. Drinking, drugging, the whole 9 yards. Let's say it was an accident. Someone needs to be held accountable. These are minor children. They don't get to drink and drug. And then you have a fatality at the end of the night. Alice said, Trinity's cause of death. Yeah, hypothermia. Damn right she had hypothermia. That's what happens when you leave people out in the cold and they're in a damn drainage ditch. Insane. Insane. How does that even happen? How? All right, another quadruple murder we had this year happened not too far from me in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. 4 guys go missing. They take off on bikes on a Sunday evening. It comes out later that they were going out over to an old junkyard owned by a guy named Joe Kennedy. Joe Kennedy. And they were going to steal some stuff from the junkyard and either use it to fix up their bikes or sell it. Some people said that they were going to get catalytic converters. Who knows? They're not here to tell us. Joe came across them. He killed all 4 of them, dismembered them, and threw them in the river. Not too far from me, the Deep Fork River. I don't know why he couldn't find a river with a little bit of water in it, because we were going through a big drought. He did all this himself, guys. All of this himself. Mad chatter, yes, we did. We did cover the Eliza Fletcher case. I got your Eliza Fletcher, don't worry. So we had several shows about this, and a couple of weeks ago, we had a local from Okmulgee come on talking about it. And it still blows my mind. Joe, after they found as the chief said, body parts in the river, Joe hightailed it to Florida. Well, they found Joe. He didn't even have time to get a sunburn. They put him in jail, extradited him back to Oklahoma. He's claiming self-defense. He's claiming self-defense. Here's another trip down memory lane. And this is an ongoing case in Oklahoma. I have a feeling they're going to ask for the death penalty for all 4 of them. We'll see.
An update to breaking news and some very big questions police are trying to answer tonight. How did several bodies wind up in the Deep Fork River in Okmulgee? And are they the men who've been missing for almost a week? A passerby made the shocking discovery today. News Tally's Burt Mumble live near Okmulgee tonight on the road that leads to the tragic scene. And Burt, you have some late breaking news right now.
Mark, authorities just releasing that 4 bodies have been recovered from the river. This road has been closed since early this afternoon. The fact that it's still closed shows that there's still information authorities want to gather from the scene.
A passerby saw something that looked suspicious in the water and called dispatch.
That is what.
Something suspicious? He saw a leg. He saw a leg. Yeah, he saw something suspicious, all right.
Led investigators to the bridge over Deep Fork River. And once there
is definitely what appears to be body parts protruding from the water.
Still too early for positive identifications.
That'd do it. There is what appears to be body parts protruding from the water.
Relatives of the 4 men missing since last Sunday were informed nonetheless.
The families of Mark Chastain, Billy Chastain, Mike Sparks, and Alex Stevens have been notified of the discovery. At this time, we cannot make an identification, but out of respect, we let the families know before it was officially announced.
It's shocking. Linda Hulse was one of dozens of area residents who discovered that the road they normally travel on was closed, since it's the same road that leads to the bridge where the bodies were found.
It's sad. You don't hear about stuff like this around here.
A heavy police presence also located near the salvage yard that the 4 men had visited. As to the conditions of the bodies, could authorities see any trauma? Were they clothed?
Everything is partially submerged and you can't see very much of it. It looks like they're clothed, but I can't confirm that.
Shock in Okmulgee, with more questions than answers. If foul play is determined, however, we asked the chief if he had a message for the perpetrator.
I'll tell him when I see him.
And as for those 4 bodies which have now been recovered from the scene, the chief said that they were within about 75 yards of each other. Reporting live, Burt Mumble, News Channel 8.
Let me tell you what, that was wild. We love you too, Sassy Patriot. When you guys put your members badges up like that, I can only see it on my phone. It doesn't show me on StreamYard. So I have to keep it up on my phone. Thank you, Nubian Max. Happy New Year to you. Happy New Year. What kind of drink is that? I think I'm going to have an amaretto sour. Thank you for the super sticker. Yeah, Tiffany, he saw a leg. What would you do if you're out wandering around and you look over in a drought-ridden river? There's hardly any water in it. I could walk across the Arkansas River at that time. I can right now. There's hardly any water in it. You just see a big-ass river with no water in it. I could just walk across it. It's insane. Insane. Oh, it's been another hour. Here's some more fireworks. It's like Bonnie said, it's 2023 somewhere. Happy New Year. Oh, Tanya, look at that. She's got the blowers and she's got Stillwater's has the champagne. We got it all. We got it all. Britt said, fireworks have me missing summer. You know, the thing is about fireworks, they're always in, at least where I'm at, they're always in the most extreme temperatures. It's always colder than a well digger's dick or it's hot as hell. My goodness. All right, so you brought up Eliza Fletcher. You must have been reading my mind because that was next. Back in the fall, Eliza Fletcher, Memphis, Tennessee, mother of 2, married, and also an heiress to a Fortune 500 fortune, was jogging at 4 or 5 a.m. in the morning. She was kidnapped and murdered. This is another one I got into a little bit of trouble for because I kept saying that I think it's a little suspicious that the FBI impounded her car. I think it's a little suspicious that her husband was having an affair with the nanny. Thank you for the super sticker, Greg. Happy New Year to you. I said, I think it's a little suspicious that the man that kidnapped her had also kidnapped her family's attorney years before. I think it's suspicious that her husband had changed his bike route to go right by Pookie's house a couple of weeks before. All right, I caught some hell for that. They're saying don't look any further into it. It was Pookie. Pookie did it alone. Got to live with it. But I do think where there's coincidence, there's evidence. I'll leave it at that.
Abston was back in court today, charged with first-degree murder, but the arraignment was interrupted over a dispute he had with his public defender. The judge ordered the details sealed.
Eliza Fletcher lived on this street in a beautiful home in a historical district of Memphis. She comes from a wealthy family that owns a hardware company worth billions, but she dedicated her life to her students as a kindergarten teacher.
She taught at an exclusive all-girls private school.
Good morning, girls.
She made touching videos that showed the special rapport she had with her young students and her dedication to teaching.
Old MacDonald had a farm, E-I-E-I-O.
She was also the mother of 2 sons, aged 7 and 5. Because she came from a socially prominent family, her 2014 wedding was a big event in Memphis. A 9-page spread in Memphis Magazine called the affair truly magical. There has been no other wedding like this in Memphis. Before the slaying, her husband, Richard Fletcher III, spoke about his family in this Facebook video.
And what do you like to do in your free time?
I like to definitely hang with my family, 2 boys.
Now, the Fletcher family is changed forever.
Hey, good morning, girls. I'd like to note that Richard also liked doing drugs. Richard liked doing a lot of things. Some people say, well, why on earth her family's got all this money? Why wouldn't they do something? Look, have you ever heard of J. Paul Getty? The other half, they don't like to look like anything's out of control, period. They will handle things their own way, one way or another. They'll take care of Richard. But they don't ever, to their investors and their board members, ever want to look like anything in their lives is out of control. They addressed everybody. They had a family member say, you know, we're heartbroken. And that's how it goes. That's how it goes. And like I said, when I brought up, you guys saw it in chat. Kat was up here with me. Some people did not like me bringing up Richie and that white powder that his nose seems to attract. But that's all right. We can always move along because we have work to do. One case this year that made me so mad, broke my heart into pieces to where, I just ugly cried, was the case we started covering on this channel October 6th of 2022, and that's the case of little Quentin Simon. His mother is a disgusting ass individual. I don't know what it is about these mothers. I'm telling you, every damn one of them have the same look. You know that look. You know the look I'm talking about. I mean, that just hollowed out, I don't care look. You know what I mean? And they capture it great. They capture it great in their mugshots. Because their mugshots, they always seem, they're hollow. They're not crying. They're not, you can see the ones that are high because they are crying and they are just a mess. Look at Kayla Montgomery. Look at the lady, I can't remember her name. She had a baby out in the woods in New Hampshire last week. Left the baby in the woods. They arrested her. But their eyes are almost like all, I can't explain it. We've been seeing these mugshots since Diane Downs. Is Billy Joe still in jail? No, she got out on the 23rd and hasn't said a peep. She has not said a peep. Has not said a peep. I don't think she's going to. Now, some people said Billy Joe went to jail because she broke a gag order. I just don't think so. Because she had been running her pie hole on YouTube for weeks. Why did they pick that time to arrest her? They arrested her a day before they read the indictment out. There was a lot going on that week. I think it came down to she violated a judge's orders. The judge told her, Leilani's an unfit parent. It's sealed. We don't know, but I think it has to do with the custody thing. Before we get to it, let's look at some mothers through the years and look at them and see if you're picking up the same thing I see. Every damn one of them. And this is just a handful. Just a handful of them. I mean, their eyes are just soulless. But you'd have to be. I haven't even gotten to the worst mother of the year yet. Haven't even gotten to the worst mother of the year. But here's a couple of them.
Good evening, and thanks so much for joining us in the News at 6. I'm Dawn Baker. In a WTOC exclusive, Leilani Simon, the mother of missing Chatham County toddler Quentin Simon, is speaking out tonight for the very first time since he was reported missing nearly 3 weeks ago. Chatham County Police and the FBI believe Quentin is dead and are actively searching a local landfill for his remains. Police say Leilani is the only suspect in his disappearance as well as his death. And tonight we have team coverage with our Shay Schrader and investigative reporter Max Dieknight. We begin with Shay, who joins us live outside of the Simon home. Shay, what did she talk to you about?
Leilani and I spoke about a number of things, including what she remembers from the morning she first reported Quentin missing to what life has been like as the days have gone on, still with no sign of Quentin. I talked to Leilani as well as her mother, Billy Howell, who were both just distraught over Quentin's disappearance. They say they've been harassed in the days and weeks since Quentin disappeared, but Leilani wants everybody to know that she's not running away.
I'm here. I've been here every day since this. I am not running and I'm not hiding. And if something does come up that I am at fault, I will take myself to that police station.
Chatham County Police have repeated.
By the way, she did not, as you all know. We know what's going on around here. We don't need to listen to those other people. She didn't take herself down there. She didn't turn herself in when things came up. We know what came up. They found little Quentin in the landfill. Now, this is amidst all of these people saying Jeff Hadley is corrupt. He's covering it up. Some people said he'd been sleeping with Billy. They said he refused to arrest Leilani. He's not an investigator, and the DA made it clear when she was talking about the indictment. They wanted Quentin's body. They wanted Quentin's body. That's what they were waiting on. One thing after another. This law enforcement did such a great job handling people that pay not one penny in tax dollars to their community, saying that they were covering up the case of little Quentin Simon. They weren't doing anything. They weren't doing anything. They weren't doing a damn thing. Well, we read an indictment on here that showed they were building that case. They were building it. So Leilani, we heard the whole story about how Billy was working undercover for the FBI and went and got her out of rehab and took her to the China King and got her some egg drop soup because it was her last meal. What a mom. I'd want a steak. How about you guys? I'd want a steak and some baked potato, right? Twice baked. No, she took her to the China King or the Panda Express, got her a belly full of egg rolls, and then took her to the FBI. She then proceeded to send a picture around of a box with an American flag on it, and she said those were Quentin's remains. Quentin's remains were being analyzed by a lab. Lie after lie after lie. That apple didn't fall far. That apple was laying right by the damn trunk. My gosh.
Repeatedly said that though they've named Leilani the prime suspect in her son's disappearance and death, they don't believe she's a flight risk. Leilani says that she and her mother, Billy Howell, spend their days in the backyard of their home because it's too difficult to be inside with reminders of Quentin and the fact that he's gone.
Every day that goes by is less tears and more anger, not knowing what's happening. If that's even.
Such liars. We sit outside all the time because we don't want any reminders of Quentin. Yet they moved the memorial to the backyard. I said in one of the shows, those idiots probably think they're being bugged. They're probably sitting outside like, Tom Cruise and The Firm, whispering to each other. Look at that. She's like, oh, I'm not running. I'm not hiding. No, you're sitting outside. You're standing in front of the garage door trying to cry. And Billy It's actually a good thing that Billy sat in jail for a few days. It really is. Whatever it was for, gag order, custody, whatever it was for, because she had time to sit and ponder and think about the environment she created that bred two murderers, and little Quentin was found in a landfill.
Understandable. You wake up every day angry, hoping that you're going to get a phone call, and that phone call just doesn't come.
CCPD and the FBI haven't released many details in the case and haven't said why they believe Quentin is in a landfill. Police say they're doing that to preserve any potential court cases down the line. Leilani and Billy tell me that they get their new information about the case from watching the news and that they feel all they can do now is hope.
We want something great to come out of this, but mostly we want him not to be found in that landfill. We want him found happy and alive. We want him back in our...
We want him not found in that landfill. We want him... Thank you. Happy New Year, Uli girl. Thank you so much. Sonia's got the answer. Sonia said, put me in a room with him. Ooh, Sonia, getting froggy over there. Like I said, and I know I said it several times on the show, I'm going to say it again. This is the last show of the year. I'm going to say it again. Let's correct Billy's sentence. We don't want him found in that landfill. We want him found happy. Oh, like that was going to happen. We know what you mean. You don't want him found. They were smart enough to know it's very, very, very hard. And some DAs won't touch it with a 10-foot pole. Will not prosecute without a body.
Our arms holding us. This is what we want. We're just hoping that he's in somebody's house and they're feeding him, and we're hoping that, you know, maybe they wanted a baby or couldn't have a baby. Maybe they thought they were his savior. But it's not. That's their best hopes at this point.
Chatham County police say they have no reason to believe that Quentin was abducted or kidnapped, and they have evidence that suggests he was placed in a dumpster and that his remains are in a landfill that they're currently searching. Leilani Simon hasn't been charged with anything at this time, but police say she is the only suspect in her son's disappearance. We'll keep you updated as we learn more.
Shay is a gangster. Shay is a gangster. Thank you so much. Happy New Year to you, Sassy. Shay is a gangster. After sitting there watching those two imbeciles try to fake some tears, she ends the newscast after that. After those two, I want him happy. I want him loved. I'll be right there with her. Maybe it's someone that couldn't have a baby. All of that. After all of that, Shay's like, Leilani's the only suspect and they are currently searching the landfill. That case will forever make me so mad. And we're still on it. We're still on it. We're going to follow it to the end. We're going to follow it to the end. Maybe they thought he was her savior. Gotta be kidding me. That pissed me off to no end. Up until I saw Shay come on there and go, as of right now, Leilani Simon is the only suspect, and they're currently searching the landfill. Good for you, Shay. Good for you. Now, what were you guys saying? What case do you think is the most bizarre case of the year? The most bizarre. And we had a ton of cases this year, guys. We covered a ton. I went back to the first show of 2022, January 2nd. I went through all the shows. This is a small portion. This is a small portion. I haven't even mentioned this Uvalde. I haven't mentioned the shooting at the hospital here in Tulsa. Haven't mentioned Dylan Rounds. He's still missing, but Jim Bremer is in jail. Debbie Collier, haven't even mentioned her. That was definitely weird. Do you guys think Debbie really committed S or not? Idaho was definitely a bizarre case. I mean, we know that they're all bizarre. They're all bizarre. It was really hard for me to size it up. We did a couple of shows, and we're going to be talking about it again in 2023 because there's some upcoming court hearings coming for the parents of Lacey Fletcher. According to Lacey's mom, she had what's called shut-in syndrome. She had been sitting on the family's couch anywhere from 8 to 12 years. She had been using the bathroom in this couch. She had been in this couch for so long that her body had webbed to the couch. Happy New Year, Mermaid. Thank you. This was a really hard show for me to do. Just Me had a hard time. She was like one of the only mods in that day, and she was trying not to puke. Her parents had gone away for the weekend, and they had left some movies because she would reach over and get a DVD and somehow be able to put it on. I don't know. She had some Cheetos and a bunch of water next to her. Her mother also left baby powder and baby wipes, and that's how she would clean her upper half, which was really about all she could get to. Let's go through a news clip. She was found melted into the couch. When her parents got home from their weekend away, she was deceased. The coroner said, now this is a man who has smelled death, okay? He said it was the worst smell ever. But her parents lived there. You would have never known anything was going on. This is a beautiful house in Louisiana. Gorgeous house. And we're going to have to do a recap on this one because they have both her mom and dad who did not murder her. They did not murder her. But they have some court hearings coming up.
And welcome back to The Factor Uncensored. Now, this is simply unbelievable and straight out disgusting. A woman in Louisiana, close to my hometown, might have suffered the worst case of negligence you've ever seen before. Let me just tell you, there's some real graphic images ahead, so prepare yourself. This is so nuts, we just have to call this one a case of crazy-ass criminals. If you can't count on your damn parents, just who can you count on? Sheila and Clay Fletcher have both been indicted.
Now, I must say before he talks about the indictment, Sheila and Clay were very prominent people in their parish. In Oklahoma, we have counties. In Louisiana, you have parishes. Very prominent people. She worked for one of the aldermen. She was like an assistant to one of the higher ups in the parish. They went to church every week. They both posted like $100,000 bond. They have very, very good attorneys. Oh my gosh. Snow said, I'm pretty sure I modded this show too. We covered it a couple of days, didn't we? Oh yeah, it was kind of hard to get away from. What happened to your wrench, by the way, Snow? Did you get a new account or did you get rid of it? I was going to ask you one day. I was going to email you and I couldn't find your email address. Just email me after the show. I've been meaning to ask you. Hang on. So they've been indicted. And like I said, they each posted very, very high bonds. Very high bonds. Could you imagine you leave for the weekend and you come home and your child is deceased? You'd be beside yourself. Now think about these two on the screen. She had been sitting on this couch, literally sitting on this couch. She melted to the couch. When they came in, the fire department, EMS, the coroner and the medical examiner, I believe, are the same person. Knock on wood. They couldn't get her out of the couch because her skin was, it had become one with the couch. They had the money to get her in-home care if that's what she needed. Their whole defense is she didn't want to get off the couch. Now, let me tell you what, I've got a real lazy piece of shit brother-in-law, but he gets off the couch. My brother-in-law does get off the couch.
On. Sheila and Clay Fletcher have both been indicted in the death of their daughter in Louisiana. They're being accused of allowing 36-year-old Lacey Fletcher to waste away and eventually melt into a damn sofa, literally.
This guy is my type of news anchor. Every news anchor needs to be like him. That's the couch, guys. I don't know if you can see it very well or if you want to look. If you look close enough, in that couch is liquid. That liquid is, need I paint a further picture for you? Independent thinker said, I won't be eating today. Thanks, Brooks. Well, it's a drinking day. That's all I can tell you. The smell had to be horrid. Now, some people say, how did the neighbors not smell anything? The houses are all spread out. So this is they had 2 living rooms. They have a very, very nice house, okay? So this is in like a study, a side study. And they just basically, Sheila would go in and refresh the Cheetos and the Disney movies and make sure she had stuff to drink and stuff within her reach. That's what she would do. That's what Sheila would do. And their whole defense is she didn't want to get off the couch and she's a grown woman. You've got to be kidding me. Thank you, kitty cat mom. Look at that couch. Sheila has gotten a new couch since then, though, guys. Sheila has a new couch. Sheila posted bond. So did her husband. And they have a new couch. They're still in the house.
Into a damn sofa, literally. Lacey, who lived with her parents in Slaughter just outside of Baton Rouge, was found dead, partially nude and sitting upright, while also being submerged in a hole in a couch, covered from head to toe in urine, feces, and insect bites. The poor woman had bed sores that went down to the bone. Her body was found with live bugs and rodent excrement on it. A grand jury handed down the indictment in the murder of the 36-year-old who weighed less than 100 pounds. We simply can't make this kind of nasty ass up. Who are these people? Who are these damn parents? Meanwhile, we're told Lacey may have sat in her own filth for about 12 years, according to the coroner. She was found covered in maggots. Investigators say she died of acute medical neglect dating back to at least 2010. The coroner's office said the parents were on a weekend trip when Lacey died. They reportedly claimed she had extreme social anxiety and autism. Lacey also suffered from lock-in syndrome, a rare neurological disorder characterized by complete paralysis of voluntary muscles except for the eyes. Just so damn sad. But now it's time to lock these bastards up.
I love this reporter. Every reporter should be like him. She had autism. She had some muscles that were basically had atrophy in them. Get her a caretaker. Get her a caretaker. She had bed sores so deep. Her autopsy said she had bone exposed. I am jealous of Dolores. Dolores said, this reporter is our local guy. He doesn't play. I love your reporter, Dolores. I'm very jealous. Also, he said it's not too far from where he grew up, outside of Baton Rouge. This was something that came up, Dana. You know how you can smell cigarettes on some people's clothes. Did they not smell? How could they not carry the smell with them? They could have gotten her Medicaid. There is so much that they could have done. Mind you, they each had $100,000 to get their asses out of jail. I don't know what's going to come of this. I have no idea what's going to come of this. Nubian, yes, they have gotten a new couch and they are back in the house. They both bonded out and they are back in the house. Yeah. Yep. Yep. They're back in the house, my friends. Don't worry about Cliff and Sheila. They bonded out. She was like cussing. I say cussing. It looked like she was cussing him out. She was like chewing Cliff's ass all the way back to the truck when she went and picked him up after she bonded him out. They stopped at the Piggly Wiggly and went back home. Got a new couch. Like I said, they have an attorney that said, you can't make her get off the couch. This actually happened in January of 2023. 2022. And we didn't hear about it until like May when the indictment came out. Alice, no guests over to your house for 12 years? No. Nope. Now, they had a lot of things on their social calendar. They went to Christmas parties. They went to outdoor cookouts and things like that, but people didn't come to their house. I always wondered about their family. What about Lacey's grandparents? These two, they went out of town quite a bit. They were in church every Sunday. Yeah. They didn't say anything. They never had one prayer request for Lacey. Some people had forgotten they even had a child. The neighbor said that they had saw her outside when she was about 19 years old. He said he spoke to her for a little bit, friendly, happy. He said she acts almost like a 12-year-old, is what he said. She talked about Disney movies and things like that a lot. And then in her early 30s, and this is their only child. Their only child. I mean, I don't care if they had 12 children. You don't treat any of them like this. It's awful. Mel, oh, they had other children. No, Lacey was an only child. Damnedest thing I've ever seen. I mean, the damnedest thing I've ever seen. Sick ass people. Disgusting. Disgusting. So it was hard for me to narrow down the worst mother of the year. I feel like I'm giving out awards here. Who do y'all think is the worst mother of the year? We don't even know what happened to Madalena yet. Diana could be the worst mother of the year, but we don't know yet. We just saw Sheila. Sheila's a pretty bad mom. Some people will say Lindsay Neiman because she didn't do anything to advocate for her daughter and just dealt with it being an accident. Some would say Candace. Some would say Leilani. Some would say Kayla Montgomery. Some would say Harmony's biological mother, Crystal. JSB, that's a good one. I think JSB is just bad across the board. Roberta Laundrie, that's a good one. That was 2021, but yeah, Snow says all of the above. That's true. Mama Kay said Teardrop. Teardrop is just a bitch. I can't stand Teardrop. He makes me so mad. Billy Joe's a pretty bad mom. Billy Joe is a pretty bad mom. It was hard to pick one. Like I said, the criminals kept us busy. The criminals kept us busy this year. For me, it came down to Comery Holland's mother. We hear these stories every time a child is missing, people always say, "Oh, they probably went to Mexico." Then it doesn't take too long and they say, "Oh, they sold the child. I know they sold him for drugs." This is a case. This woman, Christy, she sold Comery to that POS on the screen. She sold her. Now, when I first started talking about the case, this was really hard to talk about, by the way. She had not been charged, indicted, any of the above. She was actually getting a lot of sympathy from the people in their town. A lot of sympathy. She was using Comery's name in past tense. Can't be too hard on her for that because Comery had been found and found fast. They found her in an abandoned home. They found her in an abandoned house. It's one of those where Christy said she woke up, the door was open, kind of like Leilani, and didn't know where she was. She did get some money. She did. He's a bad, bad dude, by the way. He's a bad, bad guy. She sold her toys, didn't donate them, she sold them. She's on the hook for murder, the R word, sodomy, you name it. Basically, everything he did to Comery, they're charging her with. Trafficking. She knew he was a really bad guy. She knew it. Through further examination of Comery's body, there was some wounds. I have to be very sensitive about the way I say this. You're going to have to bear with me. She had some wounds that had healed, that let the prosecutors know that she had been sold before, if you know what I mean. She is horrible. Horrible. There is not, she has hell to look forward to. That's all I can say on cases like this. She has hell to look forward to.
Yesterday afternoon at around 1 o'clock in Columbus, we were able to arrest Christy Sipple, who is also known as Christy Hoskins. She has been charged with murder during the course of kidnapping, murder during the course of rape, murder during the course of sodomy, and human trafficking. She was sent to the court this morning at 9 o'clock. She saw Judge Gray, and he set no bonds on all of her charges. So she will be held at this time in the Russell County Jail under no bond on those.
She will sit forever. This gentleman that's reading off her charges looks like he could whip a bear right now if you let him. He looks so pissed and so disgusted. I don't know how I don't know how that judge sat there and had to listen to everything that her own mother put her through. Sold her to that monster. I guess when he didn't bring her back, she had to make up an excuse and say, "Oh, she's been kidnapped." I've always wondered Did he communicate with her and say something went wrong and she died and then she had to make it up? She fully expected him to bring her back. Believe it or not, guys. She fully expected him to bring her back. She is the worst.
There's 4 charges. We expect that we will also have charges coming for Mr. Williams. We expect in the next couple of days he will be charged with capital murder during the course of kidnapping, capital murder during the course of rape, capital murder during the course of sodomy, production of child pornography.
I didn't understand one of his charges until they arrested Christy. I could figure it out, but I wasn't 100% sure. Not only did he do these terrible things to little Comery, he filmed it. He filmed it. Look at his mugshot. Now, I don't know if you remember a guy named Potato that used to come in and troll me all the time. I think this was before Christy was arrested, because I was throwing some shade Christy's way and people were like, she's a grieving mother. She's a grieving mother. People grieve in different ways, Brooks. Stop. Brooks, I just can't. God's watching you, Brooks. Well, yeah, God's watching her. So I was talking about his mugshot. And I said, look at him. Potato comes in and said I was being racist. So not only was God watching me for throwing shade Christy's way, I was racist for talking about this guy. Y'all remember Potato? I kind of miss Potato. Yesterday made me miss Potato.
During the course of sodomy, production of child pornography. Currently, Mr. Williams is being held in the Russell County Jail under a no bond for capital murder of a person less than 14. So these charges that we anticipate coming in the next few days on him will be in addition to what he is currently in the facility.
Ugh. My God. Thank you, Just Me. Just Me said we are equal opportunity around here. Just because you're a victim's family member does not mean you're not going to hear a little something, something if the time comes. Woo! That was brutal. God, that was brutal. What would possess her? They haven't even released, unless I missed it, and I could have. That's very possible. They still have not released what the bill of sale was. $20, $50, $100? Drugs? I don't know. She's horrible. I mean, she's horrible. To message this freak, what time are you bringing her back? I got things to do. Something happened. What the hell? So she opens the door, calls 911 and says, oh, my door's open and someone kidnapped my child. They find her in horrible shape in an abandoned house. This woman she's getting all kinds of sympathy. Then she takes her toys to the local church. I know she'd want the kids here to have them. Can you think of any other mothers that donated toys to a church of their abducted child? Most parents hang on to everything. They don't even touch their rooms. Disgusting. Disgusting. Let's take a vote real quick. What law enforcement agency really do you think just knocked it out of the park this year? Who do you think just did a superb job? We spoke yesterday about the Idaho 4, and you know I hate saying that, but you know who I'm talking about. I mean, lightning fast when you think about it. Talk about a complex crime scene. You have the FBI behavioral science unit there, so you know it's a little something more going on than a jaded ex-boyfriend, drugs. Nobody was there to steal a TV. You know it's a very complex something more going on. They did a great job. The case of Quentin Simon. Man, that chief, I will say this about Chief Hadley and Chief Fry yesterday in those press conferences. They had every right to throw it back in people's faces. Chief Huff is another one. They have every right in their press conferences to throw it back in your face going, see, I knew what I was doing the whole time. We had it the whole time. You guys out there screaming and yelling at us, sending crazy emails, you and your little Facebook groups thinking that you can do it better. Half y'all don't even have a job and you're telling me how to do my job? That's what I would say. But they took the high road. I particularly liked yesterday with Chief Fry when he said, when they were asked, did you tell the families? And he could have taken a sucker punch, guys. He could have. And he said, yes, absolutely. We told the families. We informed the families, as we always do. And we have kept in communication with them the whole time. He could have hit below the belt, but he didn't. Same with Chief Hadley. Chief Hadley knew what was being told about him. If somebody accused me of sleeping with Billy, they would get it. They would get it hands down. Oh, Jules just got in here. Jules, what would you do if somebody accused you of sleeping with Billy Joe? Jules wouldn't have that. Of course, we know the ones that don't do a very good job. We know Hawkins County has a lot of problems. I got a few things to say about the way they conduct business in Truckee, California, Placer County, and Nevada County, because we just spoke about Trinity Backus as well. We can't, that's the one thing that I just love about this community, though. We don't put the good ones, we don't use the same microscope for all the cases. You know, we don't. Athena, exactly. Man, I love that sheriff in Athena's case. I say it all the time. He reminds me of Tommy Lee Jones from No Country with Old Men. Jules pleads the fifth. She won't tell us. It violates YouTube terms of service for Jules to say what she would do if somebody accused her of sleeping with Billy Joe. But Chief Hadley took it. I couldn't imagine being Chief Hadley's wife. I'd have been up on that podium. If I was the wife, I'd be like, you freaking idiots. Wait till the indictment comes out and you can see what they've been working on the whole time. I felt bad for Chief Hadley when I played it on here, when he had to address the city council and he was discussing what they had going on with the Quentin Simon case. And, you know, it's just if you have any marble between your ears, you knew that there was just a lot going on. And then here comes the DA rolling out and it's like, yo, they were building a case. So we've had some great law enforcement. Well, look at the case of Lacey Fletcher, the girl we were just talking about. That was melted into the couch. She's a grown woman, 31 years old. Look at the law enforcement there. They got a grand jury. They got an indictment for her parents. Look at what we just saw with Comery Holland. That DA, they're charging the mother with everything, not just trafficking like some of these would do. You know what I'm talking about. They charged her with everything that guy did to Comery. It was hard to pick. I went with the law enforcement in Manchester, New Hampshire. Reason being is when they were told that Harmony Montgomery was missing, they were 2 years behind already. Adam had 2 years on him. They always say the first 48 is the most important. They were 2 years behind. They had no idea where Harmony was. No idea. None. They still haven't found her body, so technically she's still missing. They arrested Adam. They followed him all over Manchester, New Hampshire. They arrested Adam, Teardrop as I call him, because he's got that teardrop tattoo on his face. Put him in jail for abusing Harmony. And they honestly, they took his uncle's word for it. They didn't have any pictures or anything of Harmony. They stayed on Kayla, who I hate, step meth. They arrested her for welfare fraud. Welfare fraud. So they kept her in there. I'm sure she was an itching mess without her drugs, too. Finally got Kayla to tell him what happened to Harmony, and it was horrific. Had the FBI at their apartment over on Union, even took a damn refrigerator out. According to Jennifer Coffindaffer, the FBI has replaced the refrigerator. I thought that was big news for all of us to know, that FBI agents also delve in household appliances too. Anyhow, can't do it without her expert opinion. So Teardrop is a horrible, horrible person. The entire situation is horrible. But the powers that be in Manchester, New Hampshire, charged him with murder without a body. Without a body. Kayla has made a deal to testify against Teardrop, but we know how that goes. She could die in jail. They've already said they have enough. They're going forward with or without her nasty step meth face. Let's look at it.
Learning that Montgomery's attorney has waived tomorrow's court appearance, and we've also learned more new and disturbing details about how Harmony was murdered. A huge, albeit heartbreaking, step toward justice for Harmony Montgomery. New Hampshire authorities alleging the girl's father, Adam Montgomery, killed Harmony with his own hands.
By repeatedly striking Harmony in the head with a closed fist in Manchester on or about December 7, 2019.
It would be 2 years later before Harmony's disappearance would even be reported by her biological mother, Crystal Sorey. Sorey lost custody of Harmony due to her substance abuse struggles and says Adam Montgomery cut off.
If you all remember, if you were in the shows I did for Little Harmony, I know a lot of people were very, very sympathetic towards Crystal. That's Harmony's biological mother. Right from the get, I was not. I was not. There was one show, me and Susan, that's just me, we were tearing it up. We were yelling about her so much. There was many Facebook groups that would not let people share my shows about Harmony, because they said, we don't victim shame here. We don't do that. Crystal's a victim too. Well, here comes the governor's report. The governor's report came out, and hold on, hold your horses. It turned out Crystal lied. Crystal was a liar on top of everything else. All of the stuff that she said that she had done for 2 years to try to find her daughter was a lie. Did anybody ever come back and apologize to us, Susan? I'm still waiting on that. That's okay. We don't need it. Look at Crystal. Good God. Standing there with her bring Harmony home stuff. She is such a loser.
Mother, Crystal Sorey. Sorey lost custody of Harmony due to her substance abuse struggles and says Adam Montgomery cut off all contact between her and her daughter after he gained custody despite a violent criminal record. Tonight, Sorey asked for privacy, telling us she's still processing everything that happened today. Montgomery, already behind bars on separate charges, is now...
That idiot, Crystal. I'm still processing everything that happened today. Crystal already knew Teardrop is a bad hombre. She already knew. She could not have been surprised by any of this. She's horrible. She did nothing to Harmony, but she did nothing for Harmony. I'm off of Crystal now.
Everything that happened today. Montgomery, already behind bars on separate charges, is now charged with second-degree murder and abuse of the corpse in an attempt to interfere with the investigation. This summer, investigators searched a Manchester apartment where Montgomery previously lived with Harmony. Among the items removed, a refrigerator labeled with biohazard stickers. But Harmony's body has never been found. And tonight, authorities are again asking the public to help them keep this search alive and to do something nice for a child in Harmony's memory.
I know of no other way. I know of no other way to respect and honor this innocent and defenseless child.
This has been an emotional case for all involved. By the way, Adam Montgomery is also charged with witness tampering. He's accused of trying to get his estranged wife, Kayla, this would be Harmony's stepmom, to lie to investigators. We're live in Manchester, New Hampshire. I'm Mary Salina, WC.
The chief is just like a big old teddy bear. And when he was breaking down, he was holding himself back. It's like, you know, you saw Chief Hadley when he was talking about Quentin. His eyes were red. You knew he had had a very emotional moment before he had to tell everybody they had found little Quentin in the landfill. I thought yesterday, Chief Fry, his nerves were shook. And it wasn't about being in front of the media. They'd been grilling his ass for a month and a half. It looked like he was about to have a moment. And the chief in Manchester, same thing. Hello Kitty, are you trying to piss me off today? Hello Kitty said, I want to know why Crystal made up that story about the dollar store clerk saying that she sent and talked to Harmony. Me too. Me too, Hello Kitty. I still cannot believe she told her sister that big old whopping lie and her sister got on the news and repeated it. Harmony wasn't seen at any dollar store. Oh, they make me so mad. Independent Thinker said, yep, you could hear it in his voice. You could. You could. So that one is just my opinion. Lockdown said, what? Hang on, let me find it. Just a little blast from the past real quick. It did happen in 2022, so why not? Let me find it real quick. It's in my Harmony folder somewhere. It was so ridiculous. I was so mad about that story. Crystal made up so many lies. So many lies. Oakley Carlson, she's still missing. You're exactly right, Amy. Oakley's still missing. I think her dad's out of jail now. These people, step meth and teardrop. So this is Crystal's sister. You guys have got to hear this. I think I did a whole show about this one last year. Well, this year.
There's people that have come forward and said that they've seen Harmony in 2020, that they've either hugged her or given her something.
Can you believe that? She was murdered in 2019. This is her aunt, Crystal's sister. There's people that have hugged her in 2020.
Of Harmony Montgomery says Harmony's mom 2 weeks ago met with an employee of a New Hampshire dollar store.
This was Crystal doing her own investigative work. Sometimes families like to play detective, and sometimes they just make up stories. They just lie out their ass.
where the child secretly warned the clerk that Adam and his wife, Kayla Montgomery, changed the girl's name.
She whispered to the lady, she said, "My name's Harmony." I'm sorry, it just makes me upset thinking about it. And it just stuck to her.
The family went to police.
She was shaken up. She was scared. She was nervous. She was, crying.
The store encounter was early 2020. The store employee now keeps in touch about the missing Harmony.
And Adam came to the store and told the lady, "Stop asking questions to my family." So that's the last tip we've got so far. But they named her Ansley. They kept saying her name was Ansley. And she said, "My name is Harmony." And she whispered it to the lady. And
reacting to that scathing Office of Child Advocate report, Harmony's mother texted News Center 5, "For me, it just goes to show how badly they failed my daughter. I never missed a visit. Child custody to Adam, that was not a good idea."
She was still lying. They said this scathing the child report came out that the governor of New Hampshire asked for. And what does Crystal say? Well, that just shows how bad they failed my daughter. And she makes up a story saying that a dollar store clerk saw Harmony. They had changed Harmony's name. And they just failed. They just failed. Oh, she makes me so mad.
He is a violent person.
the lady paid for a Halloween costume or something that Harmony wanted, and Kayla wouldn't get it for her. Whatever we need to do, we're holding out hope she's still here, and we just can bring her home to a safe space where everybody loves her.
Okay, the Halloween costume that she's talking about that Kayla wouldn't buy for Harmony, okay? Step Myth would not buy this Halloween costume for Harmony from this dollar store that Crystal just happened to walk into and interview this clerk. This was in March. This was in March of 2022. And you heard it here when I said on the show, who the hell buys Halloween costumes in March? What dollar store has Halloween costumes out in March? And yes, there were people in chat saying, Brooks, they were probably on clearance. Don't be so judgmental. Nubian, Brooks, did you talk about the mom in Houston who left her deceased son in the apartment with the siblings? Yeah, I did. That was in October of 2021. Her and her boyfriend. Oh my God. They are horrible. Horrible people. Horrible. I think, though, you guys can disagree with me if you want. That's okay. We agree to disagree. We're friends here. I just think that the law enforcement, considering what they were up against in Manchester, New Hampshire. By the way, fun fact, Adam Sandler is from Manchester, New Hampshire. I didn't know that. 2 years behind. She'd been missing for 2 years. You've got characters like Teardrop and Step Myth, the dollar store clerk, Crystal's sister, with her goofy bug eyes getting on TV talking about a Halloween costume in March. Nobody. She's still missing. And they still got a murder charge. Now, there's a long time between now and when, he's found guilty, if he's found guilty. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So, of course, we get now to the end. Crud. I didn't mean to do that. How we ended our year. Oh, it's 10 o'clock. It's time for more fireworks. Hold on. Happy New Year somewhere. How much time do we have? Well, it's 10 a.m., a little after 10 a.m. here. I got a while until I see any fireworks. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you give the people in Moscow, Idaho, on a scale of 1 to 10, on their detective work, how they handled the case of Madison, Kylie, Xana, and Ethan? Scale of 1 to 10, what do you give them? Jinbug gave me a 5. She gave me a $5 bill. Amy said a 10. Grandma Bunny said 10. Awesome job. Corey just gave him a Happy New Year. Right there. He said a Happy New Year. Sabrina said 8.5 because I'm nosy. I love that. Plant Diva said an 11. Fun to Ski said 8. Rexy said a 10. What did Big T? Where's Big T? I'm missing some stuff. 10 plus. Bob said 8.5. We got a 12, a 9.9. All right. Looks like everybody's pretty happy. Everybody's pretty happy. Do you think that it was pretty cool of the chief to, like I said, take the high road and not really throw it back in anyone's face? He was asked point blank. He was asked point blank about social media, what people were saying about their department, what they were saying about the detectives, just their work all in general. Do you think he was a class act, or do you think he should have maybe taken a punch? What do you think? Hang on, I gotta let my cat out. I'm back. I had to let my cat out. Class act, Mystified said. Class act. Now that I think about it, I mean, if they were on to Brian for quite all this time, that's the reason he could have been grinning ear to ear. He could just be kind of a sarcastic dude, like, like, you know, he's grinning because we already know what we're doing, and you're asking me really stupid questions. Like, I'm trying not to laugh. It's not a laughing matter. Corey said, love outdoor cats. She thinks she's a dog. She thinks she's a dog. She scratches at the door. She goes outside, runs around. She kills birds. She kills mice. She does all that stuff. She does her business and comes back to the door like a dog. She truly does. It's really crazy. So we're finding out more stuff about Brian overnight. Some people say it's drugs. I'm not going to be surprised if drugs aren't involved somewhere, but I don't think the FBI behavioral science unit would be involved if this is just a drug deal. Some people say no, they think he might have been, enamored with one of the girls. It could be anything, by the way. I'm not downplaying anything. Something really weird is going on, though. Something really weird is going on. When Jay Woody was on yesterday talking, he said, I think he's like a Dexter or something. Like he was putting together, like he was Kat said he gets off on this crime and stuff like that. And I get that. I think there was something with that for sure. I don't know why he picked that house. Why did he drive to that house? How did he know how to get in? How did he know the layout of the house? How did he know what room? What rooms? Let's not forget the ad that he put out.
Tell ABC News investigators are looking at this Reddit post, actively recruiting criminals as part of a school study to understand the psychology of those who commit crimes. It was written by a user named Brian Koberger and linked to a survey of detailed questions.
So he wanted to actively study criminals. Now, I'm very curious to know if his PhD program knew that he was getting ready to or trying to conduct an experiment. Was he watching them? Was he really stalking Maddie? We don't know. But this is a few things that have come out about him, and I have a feeling a lot more is going to come out.
More than 6 weeks after 4 University of Idaho students were murdered in their apartment just blocks away from campus, police say they have arrested a suspect. 28-year-old Brian Koberger was arrested in northeastern Pennsylvania and is awaiting extradition to Idaho on a warrant for fugitive from justice. During a news conference today, Moscow Police Chief James Fry said that Koberger is facing 4 murder charges. And we've got team coverage for you here tonight. Brian Holmes is live in Moscow, Idaho with the latest on today's arrest, and Alexandra Duggan breaks down everything we know so far about the suspect's background. But we'll start with Brian Holmes live in Moscow. Good evening, Brian.
Good evening, Joe. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of information we gathered from that news conference from today because the chief of police, as James Fry, the chief of police here in Moscow, mentioned, so did Bill Thompson, the Latah County prosecutor, who said they can't really say a whole lot about the case and the investigation up to this point because that suspect, Brian Koberger, is still in Pennsylvania awaiting extradition. That is happening on Tuesday, and until he gets back into Idaho, they can't really say much so they don't jeopardize the case. State law says they can't do that. What we do know is they kind of broke down how this happened and how we got to this point. And what we do know is November 13th, there was a call to that house off of King Road where there was somebody unconscious, and they soon found out that there were 4 murdered U of I students inside that house. There was a vigil after they sent most students home who wanted to go home, who feared because, well, that suspect was still on the loose. And for weeks, they didn't have a suspect in mind. When they came back to school on November 30th, they had a vigil. Then the biggest break in the case possibly came on December 7th when Moscow police said they were looking for a white Hyundai Elantra from 2011 to 2013. The make and model of that car was seen.
I had to pause it right there. Wicklow said, I don't think he'll fight the extradition. I think he wants the fame. I do too. I think in a way this dude has been enjoying this. I have a feeling he's been watching YouTube. I think he's been really watching the news. He's a smart enough dude to know that YouTube's full of rumors, speculation, and people that just flat out lie. People that just flat out lie. He probably got a chuckle out of all those kids getting accused. He probably thinks it's hilarious that the professor was accused by that TikToker. Kind of go back to the Hyundai when people were saying, and we know how people are. When people were saying, this is just a diversion. This is just a red herring. The only reason I didn't think so is because, well, there's a picture of one speeding away at 3:45 a.m. that morning. And they kept saying, we need to talk to the driver. We need to talk to the owner of that car. And nobody was coming forward. Nobody was coming forward. Now, I said yesterday on the show that he parked outside of the house. I don't know if he parked in the driveway. I don't know if he parked right in front of the house. But the way that all the articles read, and the police, the way they said it, is this car was parked outside of the house. They didn't say in the neighborhood. They didn't say down the street. They didn't say the next block over. They said outside the house. Where? I don't know, because I know several people were asking me, how do you know where the car was parked? Well, I don't. I don't. I would tell them if I knew. But what they said was this car was seen parked outside the house. I don't know if it was seen on camera. I don't know. I don't know. But it was confiscated and it's being towed back to Idaho. Where do you guys think the knife is? Some people think that the knife was kept and it's a trophy. They took a ton of stuff out of his apartment yesterday, and they ransacked that house in Pennsylvania. Do you think maybe when he was driving back to Pennsylvania, he chucked it out the window? That's what I'm wondering. Where do you all think that the knife is?
Seen near that house off of Kings Road on December 7th when Moscow police said they were looking for a white Hyundai Elantra from 2011 to 2013. The make and model of that car was seen near that house off of Kings Road. And
real quick. So when they came out, said the car was seen outside the house, near the house, whatever. They said it was a 2011 to 2013. Well, it turns out that the car was a 2015. I'm really not going to pick that apart too much. First of all, I'm not a car person. I love cars, don't get me wrong. They get me from A to B. What I mean is if somebody asks me, what's that car? I'm going to say, or what is that? I'm going to say, it's a black Ford F-150. Well, what year do you think it is? Oh, maybe about 10 years old. I'm not going to say, well, looking at the headlights, Ford stopped making that particular shape in 2008. So I'm going to guess it's a 2007. No, I'm just going to take a guess at about how old the car is or the truck. So then being a couple of years off on the year is really, to me, not a big deal. Some people think it's a huge deal.
if anybody had seen that, to let them know. And they receive thousands and thousands of tips when it comes to that car. But that was kind of what led them to Pennsylvania, near 40, or I should say thousands of miles across the country. That's where they found Brian Christopher Kohlberger, the 28-year-old, whose connection to the Palouse here and to this area seems to be that he's a criminology program student. He's a graduate student in the criminology program at Washington State University. There wasn't a whole lot of information, as I said, because of that, but there's a lot of things we do not know. Like, when did Kohlberger become a suspect? How long have they been tracking him? What made this arrest possible today? And there were even questions of a motive. But again, none of that information was provided today. When asked if there was anyone else possibly involved in this case, Chief Fry said, "We have an individual in custody who committed these horrible crimes." As you remember, this has been 6 long weeks. And as terrible it has been for this community, waiting with bated breath for any sort of break in the case like this, the police, the FBI, the sheriff's office here, and even Idaho State Police have been fully involved in this investigation. And as stressful and as difficult the last 6 weeks have been, Chief Fry mentioned today that those emotions peaked the past couple of days while they were waiting for this arrest to happen on the other side of the country.
I can tell you, for a lot of law enforcement, it was a fairly sleepless couple of days with as we were leading up to everything that we were doing. But what I can tell you is I have faith in those agencies across the nation. I have faith in our officers. I have faith in the FBI, and they did a great job. But sure, there was some times, even throughout the day, that we were always concerned.
There was something that Chief Fry was adamant about, that he was confident they were going to find a suspect in this case. And as you heard him say, yeah, there were a couple moments last couple of days that things got a little tense, and now they have somebody in custody. One of the people that were at that news conference today was University of President Scott Green, and he said, "It's a relief to our university, our community, and our extended Vandal family. With time, we will heal from this. We will move forward together, and we will remain Vandal strong." So there's still a whole lot of information we do not know, other than his connection here to this area, to the Palouse, being 10 minutes away, or 10 miles away, I should say, at the university, or at the Washington State University, and being in the criminology program. Joe?
That's Brian Holmes reporting for us tonight at 5. Brian will be up in Moscow reporting for the latest. We'll have another report from him this evening. Thank you, Brian. Ethan Chapin's family released a statement this afternoon thanking the Moscow Police Department for their diligent work. They say in part, quote, We are relieved this chapter is over because it provides a form of closure. However, it doesn't alter the outcome or alleviate the pain. We miss Ethan, and our family is forever changed. Over the last 7 weeks, we stood by the Moscow Police Department, FBI, and Idaho State Police, confident they would solve this crime. So when we received the phone call last night, we congratulated them for their diligent work and service. According to a statement from Washington State University,
I really, really, really like how Ethan's, all of them, I can't say, they stick out to me the most. They have been very, very encouraging. You know, they love their son, and very supportive of law enforcement. Very supportive. Very supportive. I did hear overnight that they took a whole computer setup out of his house in Pennsylvania. Christina said, but is it over? Not even close. Not even close. This won't be over till the fat lady sings. We could have like 2-3 more years of this. Not even close. They said they took a tower, monitor, the whole 9 yards out of his house in Pennsylvania, which is not surprising. They always take electronics. They did make special note of that, though.
Kohberger had completed his first semester as a police department, FBI, and Idaho State Police, confident they would solve this crime. So when we received the phone call last night, we congratulated them for their diligent work and service. According to a statement from Washington State University, Kohberger had completed his first semester as a PhD student in WSU's criminal justice program earlier this month. The university says this morning campus police assisted Idaho law enforcement officials in the execution of search warrants at Kohberger's apartment and office, which are both located on the WSU Pullman campus. This according to a university official. And they said this in a statement, quote, on behalf of the WSU Pullman community, I want to offer my sincere thanks to all of the law enforcement agencies that have been working tirelessly to solve this crime. This horrific act has shaken everyone in the Palouse region.
Again, I'm still really curious if they had any idea about his experiment, because he posted it on Reddit. I mean, that obviously isn't an experiment that you would put in your local paper, but you know what I mean. I do see that Janice told everyone Happy New Year, and it's her birthday as well, everybody. Let's say happy birthday to Janice. Happy birthday, New Year's baby. Happy birthday. Had your mom held out a few more hours, she would have gotten a whole year of free diapers. Shame on you, Janice. Nope, I hope you have a great birthday, Janice. I hope everybody has a great New Year's. Be safe. If you plan to drink, well, you know the routine. Don't be a Don Wells tonight. Get an Uber. Don't be a Don Wells tonight, guys. Don't be breaking any doors like Candace and running to town to get some R&R and cigarettes. So I'm going to play a video, another one, of just people that we have lost over the last year. I started talking and I wasn't on the screen. So guys, have a very happy and safe new year. Thank you for all the super stickers today. You guys are beyond generous. You did not have to do all that. It's very much appreciated to help and support the channel. Thank you for a terrific year. Here's to 2023. Cheers to the new year. Let's hope the criminals behave a little bit more. It'd be nice to come on here and just talk about daily life as opposed to these freaking idiots and imbeciles. Again, don't be a Don Wells tonight. And happy new year. I'll see you guys back here on Monday or Tuesday. We're back to normal life. Back to normal life. Thank you for everything you've done all year. I can't thank you enough. I'm about to break down and cry. So on that note, it's 5 o'clock somewhere, right? Or as Bonnie said, it's New Year's somewhere. So let's get to it, guys. See ya next year.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind? Should old acquaintance be forgot and all lang syne? For all lang syne, my dear, for all lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for all lang syne. For all lang syne, my dear, for all lang syne, we'll take a cup